We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
I blame it on industry. I blame it on my own hypocrisy. Miseducation and politicians. No one's willing to step up and speak.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Pace Radio Show. We are live and we are coming to you from paceradio.net. I'm your host, Al Graham, and tonight I'm joined by my joint host, Kim Cooper, and we have a guest that loves to talk about hemp, I believe travel as well, and is right into cannabis advocacy. But before we find out more about this guest of ours, it's time as always for Kim and I to have our normal chat, right Kim?
That's right. Every night we have a little discussion before we bring in our guest. Tonight is it's an anniversary day today, and a very somber one.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and you were just telling me that just before we went live on the air, and I said, hey, yeah, let's talk about this. And like you said, it's a somber one. Yeah.
Of course, today, it's 1 year ago today that the world suffered the loss of Charlotte Figi. Of course, the namesake for the medicinal strain, Charlotte's Web. Charlotte lost her battle and passed away 1 year ago today. To mark her passing and throw a tribute her way, we're competing for listenership in space today. And I expect many are not tuned into us, but to someone else tonight. Rock the Rock for Charlotte Figi. The tribute and memorial concert is also happening simultaneously with us tonight.
Awesome. That's very good. That's Charlotte, obviously her story was huge. It educated piles and piles of people around. Hey, I don't mind sitting back and, doing this and having people listen to a podcast afterwards. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, we're always available for replay afterwards. People will tune in later on after our show tonight and after the Rock the Rock concert, which is absolutely appropriate. This little girl touched so many lives.
Oh, yes, for sure. There's no doubt about that. It's the awareness was worldwide. The effect of that, the whole situation with Charlotte and Stanley brothers, and finding that plant in the corner that nobody wanted, and
it worked.
Yeah.
And it worked, and it worked wonders, and it worked for so many others suffering similar conditions, and it has become the go-to strain for people suffering from these chronic seizures.
It was a big thing for Dr. Gupta. Right? Big change of the way he looked at things. And it was all part of that snowball and the voices and everything getting louder and louder and louder until, it's almost being screamed in people's faces. But, news coverage, social media, everything, just constantly. It will change things. Yeah.
It absolutely did. And that little girl's face became the face for this medicine, for this particular strain of medicine, and what it was doing to help the children. We've heard that throughout, the road to legalization. Oh, what about the children? So when you put somebody like Charlotte's face in front of this medicine, and you say, yes, what about the children?
Exactly.
That's it. That has an impact.
Yes, it does, and lots of parents have found the benefits with cannabis for their children, and I'm sure they are asking the same question: what about the children? And you see some of the struggles with even patients that here in Canada, where maybe the LP stops producing that strain.
Yeah, and I mean, that's another story altogether. But I mean, the push towards legalization, we're seeing that happen. So it's not what if or when, it's It's happening now.
It's happening now.
We're seeing it happen now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, problematic? Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah. And one more thing before we bring in a guest we wanted to touch on was to remind everybody, too, that the government is doing a review on the medical cannabis program, and they are looking for people for input to talk about, really, from what I'm reading on it, they're looking for input on the negative end of things, but they're looking for input from anybody that can put something in there, especially if it's positive, all the more the better.
Absolutely. We've been talking about this on the Roofer Reporters for a couple of weeks now. Cindy and I have highlighted, instances where you can get in touch with the government for this kind of thing, because it is very, very important. I can't stress enough. The greasy wheel, or the squeaky wheel, gets the grease, right? I mean, that's the old adage, and it is so true. So those that scream the loudest and complain the most are the ones that the powers that be are going to listen to. They are going to appease that crowd. All right. So if our voices are not heard, we are going to get run over here. And we need to be louder than the complainers.
Yeah, that's for sure. And it's the input that's important to get it there. And for people to share their stories or why they need this or why they need that when it comes to their numbers, and explain things and what they will go through if they don't get it. And because there are just as if it's in snowmobiling, motorcycling, whatever type of event, there could be bad apples in everything, and the same thing happens here. And
that's right.
It's unfortunate that it's not right that some patients can suffer in the end of this. So the more voices that get out there, and the writing that goes in, and the groups or associations that submit information, the better, because it almost looks like they're appealing to municipalities. And you and I have reported, they're leaning. We've reported many times how the municipalities have been really against the patients on this issue. So it's and there's bad apples in every bunch. Okay. It doesn't matter where. I mean, if we're gonna compare apples to apples, then all we've got to do is look at the LP system. I mean. Come on, how many we had LPs that were making promotion videos in front of illicit grows. Okay, we've had LPs export illicit cannabis overseas. Okay, so when they start saying, but the patients aren't following the rules, well, you know what, there's a few that aren't, but you look in your own backyard at the LPs there, because you've got your own problems. Yeah, exactly. They got some issues, and hopefully they straighten them out, and same thing on our end of things. But if if one is you can't have it two different ways, and that's right. It's hopefully
they need to shine the spotlight in their own backyard at the LPs and leave the patient regime alone. Just leave us alone.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe our guest can, give us some insight on some information and things like that. I don't know. We'll find out. But we're here to find out about our guest and the things that she's been doing and how she got into cannabis and so much more. So why don't we ask her ourselves, Kim? What do you think?
I think that's a great idea. I'm sure she'll have some insights with all of the writing and all of the work she's done with so many companies.
Oh, yes, exactly. So it's time to bring our guest to the program. We're very happy we'd like to welcome Anne-Marie Fischer to the Pace Radio Show. Hello, Anne-Marie. How are you tonight?
Hello, good evening. I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, we appreciate you coming on and spending time with Kim and I and our listeners to share with us your story and what you're doing in the cannabis realm of things, and so much more. You'll find it's just like sitting around having a conversation around the campfire.
Absolutely.
Sounds like a plan to me. Passing a few joints around. Well,
yes.
At least the best part, right?
If we had video, if we had video, we could do that. We could pass those joints around virtually.
Absolutely.
Practice for the 420, right?
Hey, I know how to do it now. We've been practicing on IWK. I got it down. Hey, I'm good.
Straight up.
Yeah, they always tend to go the wrong way, you know. It
Yeah,
always
yeah, yeah.
happens
You
that
gotta
way.
you gotta remember to go opposite of where you actually intend to go. And when you get a little bit too medicated, it's tough to remember.
Oh, never,
At least we're a
never.
forgiving bunch. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. All right, Anne Marie. I'm going to, Kim, you want to start with the questions? And as always, I'll follow in and behind.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, where I usually start off is, right at the beginning. Let's give our listenership out there an overview on who Anne Marie is. You're a volunteer with PAC, and you helped found PAC and get that going. We know quite a bit about PAC through Al and all of his coverage of PAC, being part of the team there. But your main baby is something called Canna Right. Now I've been reading up on this, and it's quite interesting. So before we get into Canna Right, let's get into who are you? How did you get your start, Anne Marie, into what you're doing now? Why are you here and with us, and what's driving you?
Well, wonderful. Well, it's amazing. It's I think about my journey and why am I here, and I'm with you, and it's just amazing that I'm sitting here on the radio speaking about cannabis, where 5, 10, 20 years ago when I started smoking cannabis, using cannabis, it was something I hid. So it's amazing to actually be at a place in my life and in my career when I'm sitting here talking about cannabis on a very public forum. So
yeah, and you were able to
so
make
much
a career out of that, right?
a career out of it, when it was something that I used to hide from my career. So I guess go back. Right, yeah. So to go back, I've been smoking or using cannabis for about 20 years now, and I am only 37, so more than half of my life. So cannabis has been a big part of, it's been a big part of my, when some people chose booze, I chose cannabis at that tender age. So it was introduced to me by my sisters, who had found the benefits of cannabis as well and wanted to share that with their little sister. So I started using cannabis about around the age 18, 17. And then I, at the same time, I've always been a writer. As far as my family will tell you, you could find me at my family's dinner table writing stories and, always writing short stories or fan fiction or poems or love poems or whatever. So I've always been a writer, and I've always loved cannabis. So there came a time in my life where I was working in a typical career. I had taken the route of higher education. I worked in the at Western University in London, Ontario for about a decade. But then came a time in my life where I decided I wanted to be a little bit more free. Free as terms of career and free in terms of the person I was. Because I had mentioned I was hiding the fact that I was a cannabis user for my whole career, and from all the people I had interacted with in my career, they had no idea that there's this whole part of me. So I had a, F it moment, and I, with my partner at the time, moved down to Costa Rica, and to fund that, I needed a career, so I started freelance writing. And oddly enough, I was getting some requests for medical cannabis clinics. So I was saying, wow, I love cannabis. I love writing. Is there such a thing called cannabis writing? If there's not, I'm going to create it. So that's the long and short of it, I guess. And
here you are.
Now,
here I am about 5 years later.
Now, I know something that you and Kim would have in common here. Based on the information there on your bio, your time in Costa Rica, you also did tattooing, right?
That's correct. So I'm not an artist. However, my partner at the time was. So I was the writer and he was the tattoo artist. So we collaborated on kind of fulfilling our dreams down in the South at that time of our life. So, Kim, you're a tattoo person as well?
Yeah, I'm inked.
And a girl. Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm a
and
little
I
bit
wear, and I
pissy
have.
right now. I'm a little bit pissy right now because of what's happening with the Ford government here in Ontario. They've thrown us into another stay-home order, and I have an appointment to finish my sleeve next week, which I'm no longer going to be able to do.
Oh my gosh, so close yet so far away. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I've been working on it for
Wow,
months, and it's supposed to be finished. My final appointment was next week, and to finish it, and I wanted it done for 420, and now that's not going to happen because it's a cannabis.
Is it a cannabis themed sleeve?
Yeah, it's a cannabis. I have plants, buds, and all of the terpenes and cannabinoid profiles that are in my favorite strain, black skin.
Oh my goodness, I can't wait to see it. That sounds beautiful. I have a few. I have a few. I have a THC molecule, and I have a cannabis leaf on my. I have a traditional patchwork sleeve, so I've got a few different odes to cannabis in my ink as well. So that's so cool.
Mine's a plant. Mine's a plant, and all of the molecules, the THC, the CBD, CBN, and all of the terpenes are peeking through the plant.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness! Sounds like a dream.
And you've got a tribute to your other end of things with your radio and your IWK, because you've got the same one with the microphone and all that?
Yeah, the artist incorporated my hand coming out of the plant, holding onto a microphone, and there's a peace sign on my hand.
That is so cool. So cool. I love it. I love it. Sounds super representative of you, as tattooing should be, right?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, that's my work of art, is my one arm. Yeah, I have many others as well, but they're kind of just sort of spread all over the place, right? This is the one complete piece, is the one arm. So yeah, so yeah, you're right, Al. Yeah, we do have something in common.
Yes,
tattooing. I like ink. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, if anybody's interested, our shop is still up and running down in Costa Rica. It's called The Drifters Inc., and it's in Tamarindo. And my business partner is a fantastic artist. And talk about unfinished work, I've got about 40 different half-finished tattoos from him because we split. But, such is life. But
such is life. Yeah. It's okay. You get them finished. It's all good.
I'll get them finished. Yeah, and I have his blessing to have some other artists finish them. So
there you go. Yeah. There you go. Life goes on. And life went on for Canna Wright big time. It went on for Canna Wright big time. I mean, I'm looking at you have on one of your pages on your website, you have sort of a list of all of the logos of the companies that you have done writing for. There's quite a list there.
Quite a bit. I've had quite a blessing in that, so many companies and emerging businesses and thought leaders have trusted me with their content. It's a beautiful vocation to be the written voice behind so many talented people. And, I get to work with people across the world and, in the United States and as far as New Zealand and sometimes Africa. I feel so blessed whenever I get a request for help with content. So yes, I have had about 300 clients, I think, since I started in the last 5 years.
That's amazing. Nice. And now I want to be clear with our listeners out there. We're talking about content here. We're not talking about, news articles or magazine items and stuff like that, or although it could encompass those. But you also do stuff like branding and content blueprints and blogging and web content, press releases, pitches, pitch decks, investors' decks. So, I mean, wide variety of stuff.
Absolutely. I recognize that, and, writing is not a talent or even an activity that a lot of people enjoy. So I always say that you can write your ideas on a cocktail napkin and pass it over to me, and then I'll take it and I'll create the narrative and create the magic with words behind it. So I always let my clients, you concentrate on what you do, I'll concentrate on what I do, and I'll ensure that what you do is portrayed beautifully through words. So,
I mean, the list of things that people can bring to you is quite extensive and quite amazing. I mean, resumes and CVs, cover letters, basic websites, curriculum development, editing and copy reviewing. So the novice writer or even the seasoned writer that's too busy could have you overlook everything.
Absolutely. It's always good to have a second eye. Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, it's in the curriculum development, I have a Master of Education in Curriculum Studies. So, I found that was a very natural fit with cannabis education, of course.
And that's huge right now.
It's huge. So, yes, I've worked on quite a few different curricula or, education programs and stuff, whether it's, doing the actual education or helping ensure that what education is being put out there is sound and presented in a way that adults will actually understand it. So that's part of where my Master of Education and understanding the adult learning process has helped quite a bit in this cannabis journey.
I guess press releases. So a lot of that, I guess, would come from companies, corporations, making advancements and that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. I'm a storyteller, so if there's a story to be told, I'll tell it for you.
You put the people's thoughts into words.
Exactly, Al. Yeah, people's thoughts and actions and intentions into words. That's important for a variety of reasons. People want to know the who, what, why, and especially why behind a certain cannabis company. But also, you do need words to get yourself noticed on the big monster that's the internet. So it serves quite a few purposes of being a content writer and actually taking the opportunity to work on content at a cannabis company.
Yeah. There's a lot of spinning parts to operating something with all of these services.
It really is. I'm very blessed that I do have a number of projects on the go at any given moment. I wouldn't say suffer with, but I live with adult ADHD, so it actually I use that to my my benefit because because I can always manage multiple things at a time. So I get not bored easily because my job isn't boring at any by any means, but I can very easily switch hats very quickly within the day and keep my day very exciting with the multitude of work that I do in a day. So
I saw your post and refer to your ADHD end of things was about how I'm doing this and then all of a sudden I'm going over here and I'm doing this and then I got this report to do, so I sit down and start doing this report and then I realized I gotta go back to something else that you had started and That's the life of ADHD. It's there's always the task, but then there's a journey to get there as well. So my journey is also always quite not linear. So that's why I love being able to work at home and work for myself because I have an expectation, I have a deliverable, but nobody tells me how to get there. As long as I get there.
Yeah, absolutely. You sound like you're quite the go-getter. Cannabis, I'm looking at your page here. It's talking about cannabis content and cannabis copywriting. Lots of copywriting going on, eh?
There's a lot of copywriting, and that's why I'm very quick to distinguish myself as a content writer rather than a copywriter. Copywriting serves its function. That really is there to trick the internet, get your search engine optimization. But just because you're spewing words onto a page doesn't mean that those words are going to have meaning or impact or actually do what they should be doing. So if you're going to be copywriting about cannabis specifically, you're best to hire a content writer who actually knows the plant, knows how to copyright, but also write about that plant in a very meaningful, educational, and accurate way, because it is a substance that people are using. So,
yeah, absolutely. Your fingers are in a lot of pies, and you've got a few helpers out there too, right?
I do, and I'm so glad for them. They've been wonderful additions to the team. So one is Emery. He is a mental health advocate and also an LGBTQ advocate. He's a transgender individual who I'm so proud to have on my team. He is so talented, so reliable. He's been my saving grace more times than I can count. So he's, I'm just so blessed to have him. The other team member I have is Jess Hope, who is a wonderful personality in herself within the cannabis community. Somebody she's actually out on the East Coast representing, so she's in New Brunswick, and she is the most wonderfully authentic women out there. She actually just recently came out with a Women in Cannabis magazine, so I'm very proud of the two individuals who have joined forces with Canneray, and that they're proud to work with me. So awesome. Very, very blessed.
Awesome. I mean, behind every great idea is a great team, right?
You're so right. And it's been difficult because writing skill is difficult to find. So it's, I've gone through a few writers in my time, and but these two have been wonderful additions and literally my saving grace. So I'm so grateful.
That's amazing. I mean, so much going on. If you are in need of any kind of writing services, this is like one-stop shopping. No matter what kind of cannabis business that you own, eventually you need something, whether it's a press release, blogging about a new product, or anything along those lines, right down to, putting in an article in a magazine. You cover all of it.
You're right. I call myself a generalist. I know a little bit about a lot of things because I've been working across seed to sale, I guess I'd say, in cannabis. So I've been very fortunate to have a very diversified exposure to many, many aspects of cannabis, not only seed to sale, but internationally. Just, the breadth of what's happening on the international scale has been amazing to be exposed to.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, especially internationally, the international countries and the companies in the different countries, and seeing how those places are doing it as well, and trying to get them to to have them succeed in their position, so that cannabis becomes something that's not so demonized by people, because
exactly,
the stigma is still there.
Exactly.
All right. Well, Kim, did you? What's that?
Oh, I just said I can't wait to travel again and spread the beautiful message.
Yes. Yeah, and I mentioned travel at the beginning. Maybe when we get back from the break, we'll talk a little bit about travel, but we've got much more to talk about as well. So let's take our break, and we'll let everybody know what's going on in about 5 minutes. What do you think? For 4 minutes.
Sounds good to me. Medication time. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll continue our talk with our guest, Anne-Marie Fischer, in about 4 or 5 minutes. This is the Pace Radio Show. We are live here at paceradio.net.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
The People's Alliance of Cannabis in Canada is an organization working to improve cannabis legalization in Canada. They have a mission and values that includes all Canadians, no matter where they come from. The values are including everyone, as no one should be excluded from participating, equality, diversity, advocacy, along with cannabis education and research, plus industry, safety, and professional standards. If this is an organization that has the same values as you, check them out at People's Alliance of Cannabis in Canada.ca. Once again, People's Alliance of Cannabis in Canada.ca. Check them out.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains, and when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed, and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
CP operates a medicinal cannabis signing clinic. If you want to grow your own medicinal cannabis and are located anywhere in Canada, then I'd like to suggest that you give them a call. They can be reached at 1-613-967-9888. That's 1-613-967-9888, and grow on with CP.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
Hello and welcome back. You're listening to the Pace Radio Show. We are live here at paceradio.net as well as at paceradioshow.com. Tonight on the program, we are joined by our guest, Anne-Marie Fischer of Canaripe, as well as PAC. We're going to learn more about PAC before the show is over. But we have some other questions first for her. And, of course, Kim is here as well. And, ladies, before the break, we're talking a bunch of different stuff about Canaripe. And I believe Kim has some more questions along that line. Right, Kim?
Yeah, I do. I'm fascinated by this website. It's a really great website, by the way. Fantastic, well put together, jam-packed with information, really easy to navigate as well. Really impressed by the site. And there's this one page on here. It's called Portfolio. And wow, I was blown away by this page. I wish our listenership could see it. Please go online and check it out at canarite.net. That's a WRITE at the end, and of course, Canna at the start. The portfolio page, it's jam-packed with all these squares, sort of like avatars. And I mean, the topics of conversation that are behind these are quite extensive, eh, Al?
Yes, they sure are. There's medical cannabis topics. There's a bunch in there about trading pharma for cannabis, causing or curing. They say medical cannabis is an option for Canadians with chronic pain. They get into
autism is covered in here. Autistic children are covered in here and there.
The difference between medical and recreational. You got lots there, Anne-Marie.
Yeah, there's lots in that one, and that's just one little section.
That's just one. Yeah.
And how lucky am I that they actually pay me to do this, to be able to investigate all this stuff. And it's wonderful. I pinch myself every day that this is my job, and that it's my vocation to research and tell the world about this beautiful plant. And there's
different logos on on a lot of these screens have different logos. So those are different companies that commissioned you for this information, right?
Correct. Yes, and then it allowed me to put a byline. So a lot of the times I am a ghostwriter for companies. So there's a ton of content out there that exists that I might have written, but my name won't be on it. But
right. So there's no link here.
Right. So those are the ones with my byline on it that they've allowed me to put my name on as a journalist.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, amazing. The second little group, important social issues in cannabis. These ones are also very cool. You're examining, minorities in cannabis as well as the representation of women.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
topics that are so important. Yes. These are topics that people are talking about, and that should be written about and blown out of the water. And the role of the writer is to entice conversation. So I hope that's what I do right, makes people think and talk and maybe change if change is due. And it's fun. I love it. It's fun being a bear poker, a professional bear poker.
Here's a topic that a lot of people talk about, and that's is cannabis the solution for the American opioid crisis?
Is it? Yes. We all have an opinion on that. That's for sure.
Yes.
I think the statistics are saying that where there's been legalization, there's been anywhere from 10 to 25% reduction in opioid use and death. So
that's right.
I think the statistics don't lie. So
that's right. Numbers don't lie.
Yep, numbers don't lie.
Writing some stuff from California as well, eh?
Cannabis all over the place.
All over the place. Yeah, it was actually really cool because when I started writing, California was going through their implementation of Proposition 64. So I learned how to legalize before Canada legalized. So I always say California was my practice environment. And then when I came to Canada, I was like, hey, I kind of know what I'm doing here a little bit, but yeah, it's really cool. So California is my second home.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, so much going on there, right? Your third little bundle here, cannabis business best practices. That's quite the endeavor, is taking on that, given how this is rolled out so unevenly across the board. Right.
It's best practices are a lot easier to talk about in the United States and write about in the United States because they're a little bit more free, whereas we're very restricted here in Canada.
Right.
Best practices are more restricted practices or don'ts of the cannabis industry rather than do's of the cannabis industry, unfortunately. So I'm much.
So it's funny, the country here at home where you are, the country where it's actually legal on a nationwide level, isn't your major pull for business practices, whereas a nation without national legalization is. Now tell me that's not backwards, right?
You're so right, Kim, and it's so funny. About 80% of my, maybe only about 20%, 15% maybe of my clientele are actually Canadian.
I mean, how crazy is that?
It's crazy because, licensed producers, they can't really say too much on their website, so they can't really say too much on their blogs or even cannabis retail stores. So they're so restricted on what they can say, so they're not going to put content on other than that, just like location specific or whatever information that's going to get the SEO or get them on lead maps or whatever,
It's all press releases
really
about mergers and acquisitions and new products,
100%.
and that's about it, right?
Exactly. So it's interesting. I much prefer working in the United States, and I hate saying that when I'm a very, very, very proud Canadian, but it's just the way Canada has done it doesn't really float my boat. It's almost just boring. So when I'm working
they've tied their hands too in business. They really have tied their hands. It's
100%. And there's no place for a creative when you can't be creative. So, but sometimes some of the most challenging and fun work is using those creative skills and working in Canada and really tackling how do we talk about cannabis without talking about cannabis. So that's one of the skills I use. So
that's hard. That's hard.
Yeah, my toes.
Sure. Wow. Okay, so our next little bundle is cannabis general interest stories. So I guess this is more towards the magazine and the newspaper set.
Right. So I've been so lucky to be able to report for various publications across cannabis, like Herb and most recently the Dales Report, which is a newer publication, and also Green Market Report. So those are probably more general interests. And I really like telling the stories about the people behind, the stock market. The stock market is fine. It's there's money to be made in cannabis, but I'd rather tell the stories behind the people in cannabis. So I've been lucky to be able to do that.
Nice. Very, very cool. Very cool. Cannabis lifestyle. Lots to talk about there, right?
Absolutely. How we integrate it into our lives and the importance of it, cannabis as a companion to the life. Absolutely.
Yeah, moms, choosing buds over booze, cannabis and sex. That's a hot topic these days.
Oh, hell yeah.
And our golden years.
Yeah.
Our golden years.
Cannabis in the golden years, yes.
Yeah, a lot of different publications here again that I recognize as well.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate to have some great exposure and to have wonderful publications allow me to use their platform to put my voice in there as well. It's a true honor. It really is.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Entrepreneurship and then growing plants and science. Huge topic, growing and the science. That encompasses an entire realm all its own, right?
That one is, and I'll tell you that's where I rely on a lot of other contributors because I am not a grower. I don't have a green thumb myself. I'll smoke it all day long, but ask me to grow a plant, and I just say that it's best that I stay away from it because I just do not have a green thumb. So,
but I love the topics that they do cover here. Potency, terpenes, mold, curing, light, and what is topping. These are all important topics if you're going to grow.
Very important principles. And I'm very, like I said, I'm very lucky to have some amazing growers help me with that content.
Yeah, for sure. I love the next one too. What are you chuckling about, Al?
The next one, the one in the middle, cannabis and parenting, and the one in the middle there is mothers who smoke cannabis do more than hot box minivans.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do, and that is the next little group of stuff, cannabis and parenting. Thanks for the intro on that one, Al. That's perfect, because that's exactly where I was going to go. I love this little lineup of stories you've got going here. What do you do if you find your kid, your teen using it, and 10 things I wish my younger self knew about cannabis. That one's pretty funny too. But mothers who smoke cannabis do more than hotbox minivans. I mean, this is really what people believe out there. They think we've got our kids loaded in the minivan and we're hotboxing it, right?
Right. That was actually one of my earlier stories, and that was, I think that was probably a year or so before legalization. So I took that opportunity. I did a survey. I just put together a very thoughtfully put together survey about the mother's experience. Knowing, I'm not a mother myself, but I know a ton of mothers who smoke or use cannabis, but are very ashamed of it. So I was very lucky that quite a few mothers trust me with their experience and allowed me to profile their experience. It's funny, though, because at that time we used pseudonyms. We didn't use their names because it was pre-legalization. And every single one of them since that has been publicized has said, I wish I had been able to use my name because it's changed so much. But when it first came out before legalization, it's like we used fake names for everybody. It was
we were scared, right? Parents were scared, especially if you're a parent. You're taking the chance of losing your child. Who's rolling the dice on that? Not me.
100%. Yeah, 100%. So yeah. But that was one of my earlier articles that was published in Herb, and I was so glad to be able to be trusted to tell the story. So.
Yeah, for sure. I love that that's awesome. That's fantastic. And your last little group here that you've got at the very bottom is one that's very, very interesting to me personally. We're going to have a discussion about this one for sure. Psychedelic research. We're going beyond the realm of cannabis, but staying within the family of holistic and natural medicines. And I love that this is being embraced in this little group here. So there's 3 of them. Could psychedelics be what bring us back to nature? A field trip ventures Field trip ventures to create first psilocybin research facility in Jamaica, and psychedelics company raises $4 million in advance to advance the psilocybin movement. There's a lot of movement in psychedelics now, right?
There's a ton, yes, and those are I would say even older articles. Compared to what's happened in the last year. Psilocybin and psychedelics companies and what's happening so rapidly with all fungi or
it's like 8-12 months. It was like boom, it just exploded.
Yeah, and it's I have my different, I wouldn't say opinions, but thoughts about the rapid growth of psychedelics. I think it's a whole different realm. And, it took us so long to educate about cannabis that I believe the same level of education is needed, or even maybe more education is needed about psychedelics. So I have different thoughts about the rapid movement of it, because I think there's a lot of safety that needs to be taught about these substances. But I do know, and I speak from personal experience, that these substances change lives and have incredible healing potential. I've seen it, I've felt it, and I can't wait until people are free to choose to use these substances, whether it's recreational or therapeutic or medicinally.
Yeah. My thought on that is all use is therapeutic, even if you don't know why. You're gravitating to it for a reason. When it comes down to the core and you dive into that with your chipper, you find out there's a medical reason at the core, and that's why you gravitated in that direction. But that's my personal view on all of this. Psychedelics, we might have you back because we have another show here at the station, at the network, that I launched just a month ago. Yeah. And it's called Open Your Eye. and it's about the journey into psychedelics.
I love it.
We are all about the psychedelics at Open Your Eye, that's a brand new thriving show on here at the network. So maybe we'll talk more about psychedelics. That's why this caught my eye right away. It was like, oh look.
Well, I have a particular love, to go back to tattoos. One of the other molecules I have in my sleeve is DMT.
Yes.
So I have a particular love for DMT, so I could talk about DMT particularly for, which is a very hard substance to actually put into words, but I can talk about my experiences with that for days.
You're on my list now because we don't have anybody under the DMT headline, so you just took that slot. So I'll be giving you a call on that.
Right on. Yeah, it's an incredible.
We had Mark on from Dosed. He came on, and the shaman from Dosed, and he spoke about Iboga. And then we had Dana Larson on that talked about coca leaf tea and mushrooms. And we're having somebody come on that's going to speak about LSD and lion's mane.
Oh, wonderful.
So
I'd happily take the DMT slot. I wouldn't call myself an expert, but I certainly couldn't call myself a proponent. I've been diving into learning about it.
Consumers, I mean, that's what it's all about. We've got patients, we've got everything, but that's another show. We'll get into that another time.
Absolutely, yeah. We could tend it for days. Yeah, absolutely.
So check out Open Your Eye, because we'll definitely be doing a follow-up show on Open Your Eye. And Marie.
Absolutely.
But getting back to your company, we should get back to your company though. You do cover psychedelics, but it is not your forte. We were going to go into PAC as well, but before we leave your company, you do all kinds of PR and media stuff for companies and corporations out there. So you're really well versed from everybody from the small entrepreneur right up to the large business to do all kinds of writing and information writing for them, right?
You're right, and it's funny because I talked about switching multiple hats in a day, and it's funny because I can talk about 5 ways to roll a joint 1 minute, and then open up another document and write shareholder communications for a publicly traded cannabis or psychedelics company. So it's very funny, the diversity of writing I do, and it's really fun. It keeps my brain very active. But it's fun to have the breadth and diversity and types of writing and styles of writing that I get to do. And, as a writer, I'm continuously learning on the craft and learning from other writers. And I've got a big stack of books about writing. And I wrote a book about writing for the cannabis industry. It's a full-time job. What can I say? And I'm so blessed to be able to say that it's mine.
And who knew? Yeah. Who knew that you went to Costa Rica? Who knew that you were going to end up writing about something that cannabis? You've enjoyed it for 20 years, and here you are writing about it all the time.
Blows my mind. And when I, for lack of a better term, came out of the cannabis closet, it was amazing how many people from my former life came out to me and said, if I had only known that you were also a cannabis user, we could have smoked a few joints together. So it's funny what stigma does. It keeps people in the closet, and then you find out that you could have been smoking together all along. So
Yeah. But there's a huge segment of the population that lived that life, right? I personally was never one of those people. Al knows that. I've had a big mouth since I was 14 years old. So I just simply did not care, but I didn't have a career resting on that either. So, and I probably never developed a career resting on that because I had a big mouth from the get-go. So, but
that's
my husband's in the same position, right? I speak loudly and he supports me from the back. But he's not going to show up at the event with me. He's not going to have his photo in there, and he's not going to give a statement, and he says nothing because he works in an industry where he can't.
Right, unfortunately, right. Yep. Yeah. Right. Stigma's alive and well, right?
Yeah, and that's the age of legalization, right? So I can just imagine what it was like pre-legalization for somebody, somebody like working for like the district school board.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. I was working with university students, 19, 20 years old, 18, 17. And we gave them a lot of anti-drug, anti-drinking, anti. So like I couldn't
get there to a punk rally and get your picture taken.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, it was interesting. I always felt like a fraud telling students to stay away from drugs, but going home and smoking a big fat joint every night.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure everything.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I've seen where people actually teacher, education thing again. Where no photos, no nothing. Don't have me in any pictures or anything that you write about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I was reading.
Job. This is your livelihood. You can't mess with that. Yeah. So I get it. I totally get it. I'm fortunate that I've never had to deal with that.
Absolutely.
Personally, I stay under the radar in my job aspect where it doesn't matter what I do in my personal time. My jobs have never been that important. So
that's great. No, that's
until I found Al, or Al found me. Well, Al found me. Then he gave me my voice here at Pace Radio, and now, like you, I'm just so happy.
Isn't it so wonderful? It's very wonderful. Like I pinch me every day. Like how is it that I make my money and I make like all I do all day is talk about cannabis, and I don't get bored, and I make I make a living, and it's pinch me. It's wonderful.
Exactly. Yeah. Great. I mean, you found a way to carry on with your life and come out of the cannabis closet for yourself and look at all of the wonderful good you're doing for all of these other businesses while you've come out of this closet.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a wonderful vocation, and I feel very blessed. So
awesome. Well, we're gonna get into PAC, but I'm looking at the clock and I'm thinking. Probably not a good idea.
Not a good idea. We'll just go for break. We'll come back. We'll talk about PAC and explain what PAC stands for, and as well as we're going to discuss a little bit about the sister of cannabis as well.
Yes.
It keeps going right. All right. Okay. Let's head her off to break, and when we return, we'll continue our conversation with our guest, Anne Marie Fischer. You're listening to the Pace Radio Show. We are live here at paceradio.net.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
CP operates a medicinal cannabis signing clinic. If you want to grow your own medicinal cannabis and are located anywhere in Canada, then I'd like to suggest that you give them a call. They can be reached at 1-613-967-9888. That's 1-613-967-9888. And grow on with CP.
PACE Radio is the People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
The People's Alliance of Cannabis in Canada is an organization working to improve cannabis legalization in Canada. They have a mission and values that includes all Canadians, no matter where they come from. The values are including everyone, as no one should be excluded from participating, equality, diversity, advocacy, along with cannabis education and research, plus industry, safety, and professional standards. If this is an organization that has the same values as you, check them out at peoplesallianceofcannabisincanada.ca. Once again, peoplesallianceofcannabisincanada.ca. Check them out.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
And as always, welcome back and thanks for tuning in to the program, the Pace Radio Show. And we are, as always, broadcasting live here at paceradio.net or paceradioshow.com, or as Kim and everybody, a lot of people know, you can catch us at many audio podcasts, right, Kim?
Kim forgot to unmute her mic. I was coughing after my big dab, and I muted for a second, and I forgot to unmute.
Hey, and you know what? Anne-Marie can also put opinion on the mic incidents as well. We all seem to go through them, don't we? Don't we, Anne-Marie?
Yeah. I just hear a little giggle.
Yes, yeah, it happens. You know, it happens.
It does. It does.
Zoom, whatever.
I'm trying not to get this. I've got my dog all over me right now, so I'm trying not to get his sounds. He's a little bit affectionate, so he's all over me at the moment. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. Last segment, and we're going to discuss. Have Anne-Marie do a quick rundown on PAC, basically what it is and what it's about, and then we want to get into some hemp as well. Right? Yeah.
We're going to talk hemp after that. PAC, of course, Anne-Marie, you're a founding member of PAC. What does PAC stand for, and what is it all about?
So I'm a founding member along with 4 other individuals. PAC stands for the People's Alliance of Cannabis in Canada. What it is, it's an organization that's representing the interests of professionals and consumers in the Canadian cannabis industry, or I should say the cannabis industry across Canada, because we believe that encompasses a lot of different markets, not necessarily the Health Canada regulated industry. So PAC is basically what we're trying to do is bring a level of professionalism into the cannabis industry. And we're doing that through a few different avenues. One is through a membership program. The membership program will give people access to, first of all, a suite of different services, such as mediation, human resources support, codes of conduct, basic human resources, business running support kind of deal. Also the community of cannabis users in Canada. But also we're looking to unveil a benefits program where professionals in cannabis who do not have medical or health benefits can access group benefits through the People's Alliance of Cannabis in Canada. So, for instance, in my previous career, I had a full benefits package with a pension and all that stuff, but I had left that behind for cannabis. So I would love to be able to pay into a benefits program that will allow me to get health benefits in Canada here. So that's something that we're working towards. We've also been hosting a series of town halls that align with our 5 focus areas. So our 5 focus areas are medical cannabis, retail and recreational cannabis, BIPOC inclusion, advocacy, and hemp and agriculture. So we've been hosting monthly town halls where we talk about a variety of issues in those focus areas with the intent that the town hall feedback and intelligence will be fed back, or not fed back, but graciously sent to Health Canada so that we can have a collective voice and building the future of cannabis.
Nice.
So it's a relatively new organization. Yeah. We just incorporated as a nonprofit, and people like Al are sitting on our advisory to help us make this a full-bodied, full-time organization, and we're just getting started.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to watch you and participate in the growth of PAC. It's something that's much needed in our community. Standards are everything in today's world. We can't advance without standards. If we want to be recognized 100%. As a legitimate industry, standards must be achieved on all levels, not only in the retail world, storefront retail world, but in all retail, including the legacy market. Standards must be adopted if we want to compete.
And that's 100%. That's the thing. Standards for customer service, customer experience, how we talk about cannabis, how we educate about cannabis, how we treat our fellow colleagues. A lot of us come, if we're not from the legacy market, we're just entering cannabis more recently. A lot of us come from different industries that we had to abide by standards, and now we're coming into an industry that somehow regressed in a lot of ways. So we need to, we're working to bring a set of professional standards back or to this industry that really will, exactly what you say, legitimize the industry within and externally.
Yeah, for sure. And a big part of that for you is hemp.
Yeah. My second love next to cannabis is hemp. So it's really interesting how I got into hemp. I was, as a young kid, I always wore, hemp jewelry and stuff like that. But, didn't really think too much about it. And it was actually the Farm Bill passing in the United States that really opened my eyes to what hemp it can do not only industrially but for health purposes. The opportunities that I've had in the States have really been quite eye-opening because they're using a plant that does not have THC, so they're finding really interesting things about cannabis through hemp. So I call myself a hempie. I'm really passionate about the ways that hemp is being utilized for health purposes, but I'm also equally as passionate about the industrial purposes, the fact that we can wear hemp and we can eat hemp and we can be housed by hemp. And, hemp can help us test the health of our lands. It's incredible what hemp can do, and it's a very sustainable, renewable, it's a fuel, it's a paper, gives me chills just talking about it. So,
hemp's for sure. 100%. I couldn't really agree with you more. Hemp is where it's at. I mean, this began where we are today with prohibition that we went through, all this hell that we've been through for the last 100 years. It all started with hemp. And it was because big business and industry was afraid of the versatility of this plant. We hadn't even explored hemp plastics at that point. I mean, It was just the pulp and the paper that was being explored at that point, and it was a big threat to to Hearst and to DuPont with their rope and their paper mills for the newspaper industry and everything else. And that's what got all of this ball rolling was hemp. Cannabis got rolled into it. Cannabis got rolled into it, and it was used as a tool to say, oh, it's evil, and we've got to encompass all of it, including hemp, but it was because of hemp. Now, could you imagine where that technology would be now had prohibition not happened, and we had 100 years of versatility using the hemp plant?
Never mind the undoing of the damage of the earth we've done,
plastics wouldn't exist.
That have been saving the world, right?
Plastic wouldn't exist. We would have had hemp plastic.
100%.
Plastics never would have existed.
Yeah, we had the pollution right under our noses the whole time. It gives me shivers to think about it, I'm actually getting through The Emperor Has No Clothes, or Wears No Clothes, and I love it because it really gives you a good overview of how hemp has been, under prohibition, and the pre-uses of hemp before prohibition, and then also like the propaganda against it too. It's quite eye-opening to see that hemp was such a threat. Like, oh no.
It all started with hemp, right? I mean, all of this that we've been through began with hemp. So hemp on the horizon, to me, I mean, medical cannabis, the fight for medical cannabis, yes, this is important stuff as in patients. It is absolutely my priority. But to me, the exciting future is hemp.
I agree so much. I agree. And it's funny, like, we don't really talk about it in Canada compared to the United States, where it's a huge commodity and it's something that's been explored. I don't find that the vigor is as exciting in Canada. Like, there's certainly some big pockets talking about it, but I think, with our industrial hemp regulations, we have such an awesome opportunity to be a world leader in what hemp can do to save the world. So,
well, they're even making batteries, hemp batteries.
Yes,
because it carries current.
It's incredible. Like, every time I hear about hemp wood, hemp floors, hemp houses, hemp. I just saw some nice, beautiful hemp plastic tubes that people are creating, and why aren't we using that in our legal cannabis?
Yeah, bioplastic, biodegradable. It goes back into the earth. You don't have to worry about it. It's not composite plastic.
Whereas I have all these useless tubes from the legal cannabis store that I don't know what to do with because they're not biodegradable. So, I really do. There's myself and a lot of wonderful people like yourself and some great global advocates believing that and spreading the word that hemp can save the world, and it will. It will. Yeah.
It could have already if it weren't for prohibition. We wouldn't have to say the world wouldn't need saving because it wouldn't be polluted with plastics and fuel-based, petroleum-based products. It would be filled with biodegradable products that would go back into the ground. We wouldn't be in trouble. We would probably have biofuel made from hemp by now.
I agree. It's a real shame that we haven't utilized this beautiful product or this beautiful plants. But now it's time to right the wrongs, and luckily we are starting to spread the message, and people are creating hemp houses and hemp fuels and hemp batteries and hemp plastics, and it's just a matter of spreading the message, and then also combating big business that are telling us to not use it. So
I think we need more processing plants too. There's not enough processors for hemp products out there taking the biomass, right?
Right. Here in Canada, especially. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
A big, nice processing facility here in Canada somewhere, I think, would set us up for a boom that would happen here, because I think that's a big deterrent for the farmers that we have here. Okay, great, I can grow it. What do I do with it? Where does it go? Who's going to take it? And what are they going to do with it? Like, who wants this? So because there's no processing plants.
Exactly. And also too, like, unlike the States, Canada doesn't classify it as a natural health product. So, it's we're not using it like the States. There's almost no point unless you are using it for industrial purposes to grow hemp. So it's really interesting just to see the differences between just the two countries and how we are tackling hemp. But if anything, I do see people doing wonderful things for the industrial purposes of hemp in Canada. So we'll actually be highlighting some of those things in an upcoming town hall for PAC on April 13th at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So we'll be talking about hemp, and we'll be featuring quite a few different ways that people are using hemp. So we do have industrial hemp farmers. We have a hemp architect. We have a hemp, a wonderful woman who is building a hemp home using hempcrete. We have somebody who is using hemp to test the soil of indigenous lands that have been deemed unusable, and then he's using the results of the hemp to do diagnostics on the land, and then using that information to help restore land. So this town hall is going to be packed with ways that people are utilizing hemp here in Canada. So I can hardly wait to get those stories told. Yeah.
Nice. Because, of course, when you grow hemp, it will absorb everything in the soil and take that into its plant. So it's very easy to then test the plant, and you will easily find out what's in the soil.
100%. They say that you can't just grow a plant. You can't build a house from the top down, the roof down. You have to make sure that you're taking care of the soil first and building that foundation. Right. So hemp is great for understanding the quality and the health of land. It's amazing. It's amazing. Like I literally, it blows my mind every day when something new unveils itself to me about the hemp plant.
That's amazing. So this town hall is taking place. Can you give the date again for the town hall and the time?
Yes, absolutely. So it's online on Tuesday, April 13th. You can go to it's at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can go to the People's Alliance of Cannabis in Canada's website. Over to our Instagram at People's Cannabis. It's at People's Cannabis. And it's in our link in our bio. and it's also on our link on our Facebook and whatnot. So it's on all our social media channels where you can find it. You can register on Eventbrite, and then you'll get the Zoom link to participate. And then we also push all of our events onto live stream on Facebook, so we'll be streaming on Facebook at that time as well.
Very cool. Very cool. And you guys use Zoom for everything, so you're interactive with everybody that's attending the event, and it's just like being in person.
100%, like a town hall is. So we have a few speakers at the beginning, and they'll talk a little bit about what they do. But then just like a town hall, we ask people to raise their hand and line up per se, and then we allow them to have the floor to talk about comments or ask questions. And then it's a very interactive event. It's meant to be for people across Canada to engage together on the same topic. So this is our 4th event, and all of the other events have been very well attended. And we've gotten a lot of great information to be able to bring to Health Canada when we do our reports of these town halls.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, and it's very important to be communicating all of this stuff with Health Canada at this point in time, especially with this review that's coming up.
100%. And that's the thing, is that, we in cannabis, we have so many discussions, but our discussions are only so valuable as the action we take on our discussions. So
that's right. We're all talking amongst ourselves and preaching to the choir, so to speak. Right?
100%. So we have to use the avenues, feedback processes, or just being bold, whether it's talking to your local MP and having them bring topics up, or just going right to the government yourself and saying, hey, this is some intelligence that I've come up with through talking to people across Canada, and this is the feedback I'd like to give you, whether you want it or not.
Yeah.
We want to have our voice heard. So,
yeah, and I mean, the cannabis community is vast. It was huge pre-legalization with the grassroots community and the legacy medical patients and everything that were involved in the push for legalization, coast to coast. The community is just enormous. And now, since 2 years with legalization, a whole new a group of people have entered into this community and joined us as well. Many like yourself that were closet consumers and stayed quiet because of their jobs and a host of reasons, children, family, everything else, just the threat of arrest, all of that. They've come out of the closet and they've joined us. Well, now we're twice as large, but yet and we all have the same ideas, we all have the same concerns about the direction that the government has taken, yet our voices aren't being heard, and the ones that want to take us down the wrong path, those voices are being heard. How is it that they are being louder than us? How can this be? And it's because we're preaching to the choir. We're on social media, we're on Facebook, and we're all talking to each other, but nobody's talking to their MP.
Exactly. It's all about action, and that's what we decided that what we were going to do when we created PAC, is that we can't just talk. We can't just talk in silos, and we can't just talk about the same things over and over again. Is that everything we do, we have to have an action plan. Yeah, you're so right. It's such a big part. We're preaching to the choir, so we need to preach where it actually counts, and that where we can actually make some change.
Yeah. So, I mean, there is your town hall is coming up. That's a chance for people to get education and to have their voices heard and to be part of having their voices heard. Maybe even get some tips on how to, communicate that message forward in your local community, and get involved, speak up, because, like I said at the start of this show, it is the squeaky wheel that gets the grease, especially from the government. So the louder the ones are, those are the ones the government is going to listen to. So we have to make sure that we are the louder voice. Right.
Exactly. I love it.
Be
I love
heard.
it. And that's
Yeah.
why we call ourselves the People's Alliance of Cannabis in Canada, is that, you know, we are part of this whole country, but we are very different. And, you know, it's hard to be a voice for the whole country, but I think that we all do want the very best for this industry, and we want the very best for the individuals in this country when it comes to accessing cannabis. So yeah, it's a huge endeavor to be in an organization that's speaking for such a vast country. But like I said, we all want the very best for this industry, and we want to be an industry that we can be proud of on the international scale, that people want to watch, you know, rather than the U.S. We had this opportunity before anybody else, you know, behind Uruguay, of course, but we want to be an industry that people are proud of, and we want to make cannabis in Canada something that all Canadians are proud of. You know, we're proud of our hockey, we're proud of our beer, so let's be proud of our cannabis as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That's perfect.
That's right.
Yeah,
we got to get it so it's accepted even more. Like, you know, there's acceptance of it, but there's still a lot of stigma of it out there, and
exactly.
You know, by people speaking up and people getting involved, and you know, sure there could be 100 groups, but you know, 100 groups talk to many more people than just one group, and it's always good if groups can work together and help you know, make our voices louder.
Yeah,
absolutely, yeah.
So, all right, we're down to the last couple of minutes here, and shout out time. Kim, you got some more questions?
Yeah, but another show. We'll have her back. I don't think, you know, there's not too many guests that we don't have to say that with, right? We rarely get everything covered. We always have to have you back.
Yeah.
I would love to be back. I can talk about cannabis and anything to do with cannabis for weeks. So I appreciate it.
And as Kim mentioned earlier in the broadcast, back for an Open Your Eye appearance maybe as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk psychedelics. Yeah, for sure.
I love that.
The video end of the network.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on.
All right, so where can people find Canna Right, People's Alliance, shout out, person, place, a thing, website, all that type of stuff?
Yeah, so Canna Right, you can find me across all social platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Canna Right, so that's Canna, WRITE. For the People's Alliance of Cannabis in Canada, you can find us online. Our website is People's Cannabis, People's Alliance of Cannabis in Canada.ca or peoplescannabiscanada.ca, or online or at People's Cannabis Canada on Instagram and across all platforms as well. Sorry, that was a mouthful there. Mouthful and a half. Wow. Yeah.
All right, good stuff. All right, let's see. Kim, have you got a shout out?
Nothing prepared. I've been busy packing to move. I move in like 45 days. I'm moving. So I've got very little prepared, but I will say give it to Open Your Eye, our other show here on the network that we've already touched on several times tonight. So we'll just go with that theme for the rest of the show. And if you're tuned in to Open Your Eye on Tuesdays, this week we did not have a show. This is one of the weeks where there was 5 weeks in a month, so we didn't have a live and we didn't have a replay because that was one of the 3-week ventures that we have. So we are back next week with a special guest that we will be announcing this weekend, but we're back live on Tuesday with Cindy Howell and Michelle Sikora on Open Your Eye. If you are a patient who is microdosing or using Reset as an avenue for health, get in touch with one of us, the joint hosts on the show, or anybody on the Pace Radio Network through one of our social media apps, and we'd love to have you on. You can come on and tell us who you are, or you can come on as an anonymous guest. That is totally, absolutely possible. So if you don't want to show yourself, we can work with that. Give me a shout, and let's talk about your story on Open Your Eye here on Pace Radio Network.
All right. Sounds good. I look forward to the next broadcast. So I caught the first two. Look forward to the third one, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you go out to our sponsors, Legacy420.com, BMAHydroponics.com, Camel4 Lifestyle Shop, as well as Dr. Buck's Cannabis Trimming Solutions at drbuckscts.com. As well, a huge thank you to our guest, Anne-Marie Fischer of Canarite, as well as Pac. Thank you for coming on, sharing your story with our listeners, telling us what you've been doing, and telling us about Canarite as well as Pac.
Yeah.
Thank you, Al. Thank you, Kim. It was such a wonderful experience. That went by really quickly. Wow.
It does, doesn't it? Time's flying when you're having fun. As always,
sure does. Thank you.
Sure does. All right, and Kim, thank you as always. Always throw out my thank yous to everybody along the way, as well as to our listeners. Thank you for tuning in the program. Really appreciate you tuning in and listening. And good night.
Good night, everybody.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net. Do you want to hear what patients and cannabis advocates have to say? If so, then catch the Pace Radio Show Wednesday nights here on paceradio.net.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.